The underdog believes he can do the impossible. Defeat the bully.
What's up, guys? Today we're talking about Freaky Tales, directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. It contains 4 interconnected stories featuring punks fending off skinheads, rap battles with Too Short, a recently retired hitman's coping with a family tragedy, and a samurai sword-wielding all-star basketball player. Freaky Tales is pretty wild, and it's a movie that I continue to think about and appreciate more as I ponder it. Very much a throwback movie, and even akin to an exploitation flick, with a ton of different editing styles, aspect ratios, and visual panache to seal the deal. It's kind of like you put They Live, The Brood, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World into a blender, with a couple of dashes of Kill Bill for good measure. Before we go any further, I'm gonna drop a spoiler warning here, so now's your time to pause this video, go watch Freaky Tales, and then come back and let me tell you how to feel about it. Now, tell me when to go!
Freaky Tales wears its influences on its sleeve. The movie oozes with Cronenberg, Tarantino, and Carpenter while maintaining a modern sense of pacing. It opens in a very nostalgic and dreamy way as we're introduced to the fulcrum of the movie with spoken dialogue and text crawl. This freaky kind of alien green lightning is the apparent connecting force for the groups of characters we follow throughout each of the movie's 4 chapters. The first tale involves a couple of teen punks who are in love, fighting to defend their local scene and beloved venue from a continuous wave of skinhead Nazis that frequently terrorize the venue and beat up the folks there. The second tale involves 2 young up-and-coming MCs, Barbie and Entice, who make up the duo Danger Zone. They are spotted at an open mic by Too Short's DJ and are asked to come on stage and battle him. The third tale involves Clint, played by Pedro Pascal, and probably the best acted portion of the movie, dealing with the aftermath of his life choices and how they impact his new family and future. Finally, the fourth tale is the kicker, the flaming Mikey Madison of the 4 stories, where we see real-life basketball player Sleepy Floyd, played by Jay Ellis, and probably the runner-up for best acted portion of the movie, go on a sword-slinging rampage towards the skinheads that killed his girlfriend, battered his family, and burglarized his home. Within each tale, we get a glimpse at the characters featured in future stories in the background, so there is a nice interwoven, lived-in world that directors Boden and Fleck create. It's like a comic book, pulpy and gritty, colorful and punchy. It feels right at home with Tales from the Crypt or even Tales from the Hood, but the central story is more fluid than the usual format where we reconvene at some kind of hub world, so to speak. Once chapter 1 wraps up and things pick back up at the front of the movie theater for chapter 2, I was pretty quickly hooked to the movie's premise. I love the idea of multiple perspectives taking place during the same time frame, which caused me to actively piece together what this character was doing while this other character off screen is taking care of some other part of the plot. The movie oozes with Oakland Bay Area charm, and while I've only been to Oakland twice, I appreciated that everything from its music, casting, and cinematography invoke the infectious energy of that city. It's a bustling place known for political turmoil, as the Black Panthers literally started in Oakland, and thus for art and culture at large. The basketball element is huge, as the movie is set during 1987, so everywhere there's a radio on, it's a broadcast about the Lakers-Warriors game that some of the central plot revolves around. And like with most cities, the culmination of culture, politics, racism, and creativity formulate into a certain freakiness that the movie does a great job of harnessing. It doesn't hurt that some of its casting decisions, one in particular featured in a scene in a video store, are actually from the Bay Area, increasing the movie's authenticity. Unfortunately, there is a lack of strong characterization in this movie. Characters are colorful and well drawn, sure, but I think there is a flaw in the script that fails to make the audience really connect with these characters. This may have something to do with not being well acquainted with the niche culture of actually living in Oakland, but I'm not willing to give it a pass for that reason only. I think that Boden and Fleck set out to create exactly the movie they made, but what is gained in creative vision is lost in the emotions department. And sadly, if a movie lacks emotion, it just doesn't work as well. That said, that wasn't what the movie set out to do, and I think that's okay. They set out to make a homage to the various directors and styles that made them, and in that department, the movie excels. The movie remains just interesting enough in the first 2 chapters, but it amplifies in energy once Pedro Pascal shows up as Clint, the hitman. It's no secret anywhere that Pascal knows how to command a screen, and he does it well in his chapter 3 section. The script does the character no favors, and even Pascal can't pull it completely out of the gutter. His screen presence is just enough to get us to care, and when he finds the young punks admiring a newly gifted stud bracelet adorned with shards of glass, glass and other pointy objects, we know that ultimately he's on our side. And as my friend Kyle would say, the movie is Pedro certified punk rock. The audience that this movie will most appeal to are fans of the movies that made this one, but also just people who like movies in general. It's not just convenient that several of the chapter openings start with the movie marquee and frame. The movie itself is winking at the convention of cinema. The filmmakers love what they do, and this love spurts from each crevice and frame of this movie. That meta quality was not lost on me throughout this film, and I wonder if the cytopics, a la psychoplasmics from Cronenberg's The Brood, could also be an allegory for the hypnotic and revolutionary nature of a great movie. Writer Roland Barthes says in Leaving the Movie Theater, "There is something to confess. Your speaker likes to leave a movie theater. Back out on the more or less empty, more or less brightly lit sidewalk, it is invariably at night and during the week that he goes, and heading uncertainly for some cafe or other, he walks in silence. He doesn't like discussing the film he's just seen. A little dazed, wrapped up in himself, feeling the cold. He's sleepy. That's what he's thinking. His body has become something soppative, soft, limp, and he feels a little disjointed. For a moral organization, relief comes only from this quarter irresponsible. In other words, obviously he's coming out of hypnosis. And hypnosis, an old psychoanalytic device, one that psychoanalysis nowadays seems to treat quite condescendingly, means only one thing to him: the most venerable of powers: healing. We have all had that similar feeling after leaving a movie theater. My most memorable one being after I left a local Louisville, Kentucky theater called Dreamland in the summer of 2026 after seeing Do the Right Thing. Freaky Tales may not be at that level, but I believe it is an important rallying cry and movie for our current cultural moment. This is also probably why I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about it. It seems to have been dumped in theaters without much press or ad pushing. There is active media suppression happening across social media right now, but given that this movie's message and, I'll put it simply, Nazi punks fuck off, it's easy to see why the algorithm isn't feeding us this movie. I'm puzzled though, because I think a movie where a bunch of punks of all races and colors kick the shit out of a bunch of Nazis would be huge right now. I mean, we all want to do that to Elon, so it's fun to live vicariously through this movie and its visceral, gory fight scenes. And while that message is relevant and fun in a time where history appears to be close to repeating itself, it's evident from the beginning where the movie is headed. That's not a bad thing, but rarely are any of the plot threads exciting enough to propel its messaging to greater heights. I really don't want to sound like I'm knocking this movie. I actually really liked it, and I feel like more people need to see it. It's fun and exciting and refreshing as a theater release, and once it hits streaming, I think it'll hit audiences harder. I mean, Jay Ellis, who's a personal favorite of mine from the amazing HBO show Insecure, plays a friggin' iconic basketball player, Sleepy Floyd, and seemingly harnesses the power of psychotopics to kick Nazi ass. And it just so happens to implement some blaxploitation era violence, vengeance, and kick-assery. That sequence is one of the movie's best, as are pretty much any of the sequences where Nazis get the shit kicked out of them. Punk rock as hell, and if any of this has tickled that curiosity bone enough for you to check it out, I've done my job. Just go into this thing knowing it will be more vibey than narratively intriguing. It's straightforward fun at its core, and it deserves your attention.
Freaky Tales is a freaky look into 1987 Oakland, calling back to some of the best films of that era and the films that followed that era. It features a great ensemble cast that not just elevates a just okay script to greater heights, but helps to continue the movie's momentum. It's cool to see Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck making their own version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And while the movie may not be perfect in some important ways, it's still something bright, interesting, and abrasive crashing against the current wave of cultural conservatism. If you're looking for a movie where you get cameos from surprising stars and musicians, a loving portrait of one of America's most important cities, with a great soundtrack and killer atmosphere, Freaky Tales is the movie for you. It doesn't hurt that old Pedro Pascal is easy on the eyes, and Jay Ellis too. What did you think of Freaky Tales? Was it up to your own personal punk rock standards, or did it miss the mark? What other movies do you think inspired Freaky Tales? Leave all the comments below, and before you go, don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching this video and continuing to support the channel. Until next time, I leave you with this quote from Bay Area rapper E40. I don't bump mainstream, I knock underground. All that other shit sugar-coated and watered down. I'm from the Bay where we go hyphy and go dumb. From the soil where them rappers be getting they lingo from. Ooh. I found it! I don't have none, but I planned on growing some. Ooh.